This is your
saying it's
DWI,
so
man.
you have money.
You're saying
you
it's
can
not.
avoid being
So
held
you have money,
responsible.
then you can
rich
avoid
people
being
get
held
treated differently. I
responsible.
thought
Why
the
do
rich
we were all
people get
treated
treated
fairly
differently.
under
I
the
thought
law?
that we were all treated fairly under the law.
This is clause number 25.
This is clause number 25.
CR
You were Tammy Dunwhite Judice.
You were
correct. Tammy Dunwhite Judice.
Excuse me.
Correct.
And you were witness
Excuse me.
your attorney in the
And
state's
you were witness your attorney
in the state's
Earlier you pleaded guilty to
operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. This is a third degree felony.
This is a third degree
Because you
felony.
pleaded true to because you
The second
pleaded
paragraph,
true
which
to
included
the second
allegations
paragraph, which
of
included
prior
allegations of
DWI
prior
convictions,
DWI
dating back to
convictions
2007,
dating back to 2007,
and
paragraphs 1 and 2 constitute
paragraphs 1 and 2
constitute a third degree felon,
facing up to 10 years in prison.
Facing up to 10 years in prison.
The agreement is whatever sentence shall not
The agreement
exceed a
is
cap
whatever
of
sentence
6
shall
years
not
in prison.
exceed a
So
cap of 6 years
you're
in
looking
prison.
at no
So
less than 2 nor more than
you're
6
looking at no
years
less
in
than 2
prison.
nor more than 6 years in prison.
You could be
Convicted,
you could be
sentenced to up to 6 years in prison.
That could be
sentenced to up to 6 years in
suspended, and you
prison.
could
That
be
could
placed
be
on probation.
suspended, and you could be placed on
And
probation.
deferred or unadjudicated probation.
And deferred or unadjudicated probation is
On what case?
DWI thirds,
On what
not DWI thirds, not
It's
a
not
conviction.
deferred, yeah.
It's
No,
a conviction.
deferred. You can't do deferred.
Sir, no,
You can't do
no,
deferred.
that's disallowed for.
No, that's
disallowed for
driving while intoxicated cases.
Driving while
That's what we are looking
So
at.
a pre-sentence report has been prepared. A pre-sentence
Have the
report
parties
has
had
been
an
prepared.
opportunity
Have the
to
parties
review it?
had an
And are there any
opportunity
corrections
to
or
review
changes
it?
to
And
it?
are there any
I've
corrections or
reviewed it all.
changes to it?
I don't have any objections, but I don't have any objections. I want to add something to it. I want to add something to it. 2 weeks ago. Probation officer 2 weeks. Which was a week ahead of the hearing. The first was a week ahead of the hearing. The first hearing. I brought it. Supposed to be heard last Friday. 2 Fridays. I brought it. Somehow it didn't get 2 Fridays ago. Somehow it didn't. It's just medical proof, but it's just medical proof. Pretty serious. She has a pretty serious weakness of the brittleness of the bone. Weakness of the brittleness of the bone. She's been on a walker. Will probably be the rest. Been on a walker.
But yet she can still drive at 4,000 pounds. But yet she can still drive at 4,000 pounds.
Evidently, yes. But I said,
I haven't been able to, sir. I haven't been able to, sir.
Since when?
At
Well,
all.
we know, we know, we know in October
No, I mean-
2023. That's when you were caught.
No, I mean,
And that's when you were
but
caught.
I have
Yeah,
not.
in the DWI.
But I have not. When I had my accident, December. Okay, here.
2024, 2024.
Or 2023, same year, 2023, same year.
No, that's not the real problem. The problem
No, that's
is
not the
this
real
is your
problem.
fifth. The
DWI.
problem is this is your fifth
That we know
DWI.
about.
Fourth. No,
That
man,
we
you
know
got 4
about.
prior
Fourth.
convictions. No, man, you got 4
In
prior
May-
convictions.
May
31st, 2007.
May
31st,
County Court of Law
2007.
3 of Jefferson County, you were
Court of Law
convicted.
3 of Jefferson County, you were
operating a
convicted.
motor vehicle while
To
intoxicated.
operating a motor vehicle while
After that, on
intoxicated.
August 27th, 2008,
After that, on August
which would be a
27th,
little over a year
2008,
later,
which would be
County
a little
Court of
over a
Law
year
3,
later,
another
County Court of Law 3,
operating
another
a motor vehicle
in a public place
operating a
while
motor vehicle
intoxicated. In a public place
Then,
while
a
intoxicated.
little over 4 years later,
a little over
on
4 years
December
later,
3rd, on December
2000,
3rd, 2000,
you picked up
12,
2 cases. You picked up 2 cases.
you were
Convicted of 2 cases.
you were
Convicted
in
of
cause
2
number
cases.
907-907-764
12
and
15124
15124
out of the district court next door.
252nd.
Those were 2
District Court
separate
next door.
DWI.
Those were
Yeah,
2
she was,
separate
that
were
yeah, she
handled
was,
in the
that
same
were
proceeding,
handled
but
in
in
the same
this is your
proceeding,
5th,
but
DWI. This is your 5th DWI.
Yeah, the 4th one, Your Honor, was used. Yeah, the 4th one, Your Honor, was used on the 3rd. Revoker of probation, and that's why they revoked the same day. And that's why they revoked the same day.
I know that's still bad.
Yeah.
I know that's still bad.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. But here's the problem.
She's
with-
standing
This is
there.
the problem.
Yeah.
She's standing
but is
there.
not appearing
Yeah.
coherent.
But is
I
not appearing
know more
coherent.
about her
I
criminal history than
know
she
more
does.
about her criminal
This
history
is
than
her-
she
this
does.
is your 5th
This is
DWI,
her-
man.
This is your 5th
You're saying it's not.
DWI, man.
This case shows how the justice system deals with repeat offenses. A woman stands before the court facing her 5th DWI charge. Even after multiple convictions, probation, and prison time, she continued making the same dangerous decision, driving while intoxicated. The judge makes one thing very clear: punishment increases with repeated behavior. The court isn't just looking at this one incident, but her entire history. 4 prior DWI convictions already exist, and this time it's classified as a felony. Her defense tries to reduce the sentence by highlighting serious medical issues, including osteoporosis and multiple fractures. They even propose a shorter jail sentence with a fine. But the judge pushes back, questioning fairness. Should someone with money be able to get a lighter punishment? At the heart of the case is public safety. The judge repeatedly compares a car to a 4,000-pound missile, emphasizing the deadly risk of drunk driving. In the end, the court follows the agreement and sentences her to 6 years in prison. This case highlights accountability, fairness, and the serious consequences of repeated poor decisions.
We got to resolve that first. We got to resolve more about your life than I should. You should know more about your life than I should. Saying this is why are you saying this is your?
I didn't think it was, sir. That's
well, I think you got. There's some mental. I think you got. There's some mental. I think there's some mental problems here. I think there's some mental problems here. I mean, do we have 4 separate prior convictions? Do we have 4 separate prior convictions of DWI? You want me to show them to you?
No.
You want me to show them to you?
No.
But I shouldn't have to be trying to convince you. But I shouldn't have to be trying to convince you. These are yours.
Well,
you should be more intimately familiar with your mistakes. You should be more intimately familiar with your mistakes than me.
Man, I gotta know how many.
Man,
I gotta know how many times I got arrested.
That's not
Arrested.
that's not a conviction. Being arrested, that's not a conviction. That's probable being cause arrested. You might have done something that's wrong. Probable but you're presumed you might have done something wrong. Unless you're found guilty. That's what's you're found guilty. Conviction. That's what's important. It's not a good deal to be arrested. It's not a good deal to be arrested. That needs to be for whatever reason. Until you're found guilty. Until you're found guilty. Or unless you're found guilty. We're not talking about any other arrests. We're not talking about any other convictions here. We're talking about convictions here. And that's what sentencing is all based upon. Criminal sentencing is all based upon history of convictions. History and the circumstances of this crime. The circumstances of this crime. It's DWIs that your only criminal history. It's DWIs that your only criminal history. But you got what's that? What's that? This last time they gave you a break. This last time they gave you a break on your third. You were placed on probation, and then that was revoked. You were placed on probation, and then that was revoked. You were sentenced to 5 years in prison. You were sentenced to 5 years in prison. Okay, but you understand the way things happen is. You understand the way things happen when you commit further or subsequent criminal behavior or subsequent criminal behavior subject matter in the same. The penalties go up. The penalties get less punishment. You don't get less punishment behavior for the same subsequent behavior. Do you understand? The same type. Do you understand? All right. All right. I just wish you'd make the right decision. When you'd make the right decision. You get into a 4,000-pound missile. You get into a 4,000-pound missile. Terrible tissue damage. Terrible tissue damage when it. In collisions, we have this every day. In collisions, we have this every day. We have to tragedies in this room on tragedies in this room on motor misuse of motor vehicles. I'm looking at what was presented. I guess Frank, you presented this from Diagnostic.
In this courtroom, a serious and emotional case unfolds involving a woman charged with her 5th DWI. What makes this case stand out is not just the number of offenses, but the repeated pattern of behavior despite prior punishments. The judge carefully walks through her history. 4 previous DWI convictions dating back to 2007. Some of those cases were even handled together, but legally, they still count separately. That makes this her 5th offense. The defense presents medical evidence showing she suffers from severe osteoporosis, has broken multiple bones, and struggles to walk. They argue that prison would be harsh given her condition and suggest a reduced sentence, 2 years and a financial penalty.
Frank, you presented this
Yes,
for
sir.
diagnostic.
And I gave it, yes, sir. It didn't get in our report, but I brought it to her 2 weeks ago. But I brought it to her 2 weeks ago, which is a week ahead of when we were supposed to be here the first time. But it's showing that she does have a pretty serious osteoporosis. She's had a broken hip, and she's had a broken hip,
broken back, broken knees,
and she doesn't walk hardly anywhere except her home. Hardly anywhere except her home, like that. Go to the grocery store, anything like that. She'd even be willing to. But she even going to probation would be difficult. Even going to probation would be difficult. What she doesn't want probation, and it's I know it's kind of unusual. I know it's kind of unusual. 2 years jail time and 2 years jail time and fine. And you pay $5,000 fine. Never gone to drug safe fees. She's never gone to drug alcohol treatment. She's not an addict. Or alcohol treatment.
Well, how do I put her in? Well, how do I put her in substance abuse felony punishment? Substance abuse felony punishment. When she goes to prison. No, that's the condition of probation. No, that's the way we do that. Probation. That's the way we do that. Safe P is not supposed to be. Safe P is not supposed to be punishment. It's a medical punishment. It's facility. Facility. That's not a condition. That's not under the statute. A condition under the statute. If they want to send her, if they want to send her, if the state of Texas wants to send her, if the state of Texas wants to send her, I can't stop that facility. I guess part of her confinement, but as part of her confinement, and then I can't order it, and then. But also the problem is, Frank, is but also the problem is it defies logic, and it defies logic and significance of the way the criminal system. Way the criminal, you don't get less punishment. You don't get less punishment for the misbehavior. Subsequent misbehavior. What kind of deterrence aspect is that? What kind of deterrence aspect is that? It's supposed to deter people by more punishment each time you make the same. More punishment each time you make the same. Because of her health issues, Your Honor, she's willing. Health issues, Your Honor, she's willing. If you give her 2 years jail and 2 years jail and a $5,000 fine, only pay $5,000 fine, only because of her health concerns or concerns for her. That's the unusual. That's the unusual. I understand that. I understand that each time you commit a DWI, you don't get less punishment. You don't get less punishment. Well, that's what you're. That's what you're proposing. That's what 2 years in prison is less punishment. 2 years in prison is less punishment. Well, you'll pay a fine of $5,000. You'll pay a fine of $5,000. What's fair is fair. Just because somebody can pay a fine, just because somebody can pay a fine, most people in here can't. What's the so you have money, then you can avoid being held responsible. You have money, then you can avoid being held responsible. I'd say if I was a poor person, I don't have that kind of money. Why do the rich people? I don't have that kind of money. Why do the rich people get treated fairly? I thought that we were all treated fairly, and that's the way I kind of believe it should be. And that's the way I kind of believe it should be. I agree with you, Honor. I agree with you, Honor. But her health issue factor of the fact, and that's why I brought this fact, and that's why I brought this. And she's got, she's on a walker, and she's got osteoporosis, which is pretty serious things, which is pretty serious. Break a bone. She can just not break a bone. Okay, but she can still drive a car. Okay, but she can still drive a car.
No,
She'd surrender her license. She'd surrender her license.
This courtroom hearing reveals a powerful and sobering story about accountability, fairness, and the limits of second chances. A woman stands before the judge, facing what is now her 5th DWI offense. Over the years, she has been arrested, convicted, given probation, and even served prison time. Yet, despite all of that, she finds herself back in court again for the same crime. The judge begins by outlining her record in detail: convictions in 2007, 2008, and 2 more in 2012. Each one represents a moment where she chose to drive under the influence, putting lives at risk. Her attorney tries to shift the focus to her current condition. She suffers from serious health problems, osteoporosis, broken bones, limited mobility. He argues that she can barely walk, let alone pose a danger now. He proposes a reduced sentence, suggesting she serve only 2 years and pay a fine. But the judge challenges this idea directly.
We know you were driving one October 19th. We know you were driving one October 19th of 23. And then after that, you got sick. After that, you got sick. You weren't ill before that.
No,
You
I
weren't ill
failed.
before that.
No, I failed.
What was, well, it's, what was, it begs the question.
It begs the question.
It begs the question.
There's a
It begs the
problem.
question, really.
When you commit
There's a problem.
5 DWIs,
When you commit
man.
5
There's a
DWIs, man. And
There's a
this
problem.
osteoporosis is just
And
come up
this
after your fifth
osteoporosis is just
DWI.
come up
How
after
can you
your fifth
explain the
DWI?
misbehavior?
How can you explain
and
the
the wrong
misbehavior
choices and
was
the
wrong.
wrong choices?
It was
How
wrong.
many wrong? How many
Mistakes
wrong
do you have to make to
mistakes do you have to make to you?
We even tried to help you with
it. Probation.
We
and
even tried to
that was
help you with
revoked.
probation and
Because
that was
you got
revoked.
another DWI.
Because
Right.
You got another
Wow.
DWI.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. What's they say? All right. What's
Looking
they
over
say?
the PSI judge,
Looking over
I think
the PSI
what
judge,
strikes me,
I think
the
what
most is
strikes
that
me,
the
the
defendant
most
has
is
minimized
that
her
the
responsibility.
defendant has minimized her
Until today,
responsibility.
it was refreshing a little bit to
Until
hear her
today,
say. It was
take
refreshing a little bit to
responsibility.
hear
I
her
was
say.
Take
She minimized her
responsibility.
responsibility throughout. She minimized her
the
responsibility
investigation.
throughout.
Also,
the investigation.
the
But she's doing it today.
Also,
Today. That's
But
she's
correct.
doing it today.
I guess it's
Today.
never too
That's-
late to
that's correct.
make an
I guess
act
it's
of
never too
contrition.
late to
Mhm.
make an act of contrition.
Also, the number of
Also,
prior
the
DWIs
number
is a
of
factor. The
prior
safety of the
DWIs
community is a
is a
factor.
factor. The
The
safety
fact
of
that
the
she's
community is a
already
factor.
served 5 years.
The fact that she's
That's
already
TDC.
served 5
What's
years.
your
We're
percentage?
recommending
What's your
The
we're
cap,
recommending
6 years TDC.
the cap, 6 years TDC.
I don't feel like
safety
six
is
years TDC. I
appropriate in
don't
this
feel like
case.
safety.
We're going to defer
in this
to you,
case.
of course.
We're going
But
to
that is
defer
the state's
to you, of course.
recommendation. But that is the state's recommendation.
You heard what the state says, and
They
you heard what the state says, and
this
group of
prosecutors has been very
group of
fair. Prosecutors has been very fair.
I think.
She's asking for 6 years in prison. She's asking for 6 years in prison. Um, um, the last time she was on probation, let me talk to everybody for just a second. Let me talk to everybody for just a second.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, Ms.
Yeah,
Judice, you're a grown up.
And
Ms. Judice, you're a
you can
grown
make
up.
that
Choice.
And you can make
The problem you have
choice.
here is the problem you have here is
the way
is,
the court
feels
the
like
way the
things
court
ought to work, and the way
feels
I do
like
things
things
is-
ought to work,
That
and the
you
way I
don't
do things
get
is
lesser
that you
punishment
don't
for
get
the same
lesser punishment for
subsequent
the same
misbehavior. Crimes.
subsequent
Yeah,
misbehavior.
that would not deter.
Crimes.
That would be
Yeah,
working
that would
against
not deter.
deterrence.
So
That
people
would
know
be
the more
working
they
against
get
deterrence.
the
The
less
less
punishment
punishment
would
would
be.
be.
They
The
would-
less punishment
they would
would be. Just
they would-
race to.
They would
Just
make
race
punishments.
to make
So
punishments.
your cap is 6 years.
So your cap is 6
imprisonment,
years.
anything to add by anybody
Imprisonment,
else?
anything
No, no,
add by anybody else?
anything from you, man?
No, sir.
Anything from you,
Okay,
man?
then I'm going to find.
Okay, then I'm going to find.
And
I wish this didn't happen. You seem like a nice person. This didn't happen. You seem like a nice person, but we're talking about 4,000-pound missiles being driven around. 4,000-pound missiles being driven around, and it's hard enough to drive them responsibly. The way other people drive too. The way other people drive. Be defensive, and
Correct.
again,
You
this
gotta
is
be
your
defensive,
fifth.
and
Again, this is your. You have been a felon.
DWI.
You have been a felon. Three convictions ago. 3 convictions ago. I'm going to find you have pleaded guilty in paragraph 1 pleaded guilty in paragraph 1 and 2 true in this to paragraph 2 third degree felony of operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated pleaded guilty and true to paragraphs 1 and 2 guilty and true to paragraphs 1 and 2 voluntarily knowingly and you have pleaded true to and allegations in paragraph 2 which allegations in paragraph 2 committed this offense you were convicted of committed this offense you were convicted of previous DWIs, 2 of them, DWIs, 2 of them, operating motor vehicles in public places, operating motor vehicles in public places. You were sentenced. You were placed on probation last time. You were placed on probation last time. Sentenced to 5 years in prison, and you were sentenced to 5 years in prison. The agreement is a cap of 6 years in prison. The agreement is a cap of 6 years in prison. Hereby find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this third degree doubt of this third degree following this paragraphs 1 and 2. Following this agreement, you hereby sentenced institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 6 years. I just wish, and we all weren't put in this position. We all weren't put in this position. I just wish you would fix this. But you have to know. But you have to know. You were blink of an eye from fatality. Blink of an eye from when you're operating 4,000 pound. When you're operating 4,000 pound missile, especially. And not only you, but everybody else on the road. Not only you, but everybody else on the road to act responsibly. Each other with 4,000 pound missiles, zipping around 4,000 pound missiles, zipping around the road. For whatever reason, you did not. For whatever reason, learn from these prior convictions. Learn from these prior convictions. Here we are, put into a situation where I'm disappointed, but. Disappointed, this result under these circumstances. Result under these circumstances. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, man. Here is this. Here is this.
Yeah.
Brandon Mingo. Brandon Mingo, that's Brandon Mingo, Brewer, Brooklyn Brewer.
Haven't seen the attorney yet this morning, Judge. Haven't seen the attorney yet this